Okay, then this next topic is something that can seem negative, but it has a great deal of positivity in it. So let's talk about failures, getting things wrong, but more importantly, what are the lessons? And that is key. So in this presentation, we're going to be looking at some of the things that can go wrong, some of the things that went wrong with me in my business, and the great lessons I learned. So let's begin. This next section is number 7, lessons I learned from failure. So what are some of the key things that I learned when I got things wrong? And how can I benefit, and how can we benefit from that wealth of knowledge? So let's look at that now. So let's look at the mistakes which I made and ways we could benefit from those mistakes. So let's have a look. So there's the first, no vision or purpose. And it may seem like a small thing when you're starting out, because when I was starting out, I was so eager to get my website business going, to get customers, to earn some money. But I had completely got everything in the wrong order. Without a vision, without a clear purpose, I was destined to fail. And in my early attempts at business, that's what happened. I failed. And I just couldn't put my finger on why. But things have to be in the right order. It's important to have a clear vision and a clear purpose. Like in the early days, my idea was to sell websites and make some money. Now that is something, what I found was a formula for failure. The purpose of your business has got to be something bigger, something that drives you to get up in the morning, something that pushes you to do the work that's required to make things happen. Something that stimulates you, something that will stimulate the people that you work with and who work for you. So it's important to have a clear vision, a purpose, why you're doing your business in the first place, because that will make the difference. I've often heard it said, when someone enjoys what they're doing, it's no longer work. And if you are being purpose driven, if you have a clear vision of where you want to go to, that makes a big difference. And the clearer the vision, the clearer that picture in your mind, the better your chances of doing well in business. And that's one of the lessons I learned up front. So let's look at the next point. So no vision, no sense of purpose. The next one is poor planning. That one makes me cringe when I think about it. These days I use a goal gratitude journal. So I write down my goals, write down what I'm grateful for. And so there's structure to what I'm doing. In the early days, there wasn't that structure. And so without clear planning, it's almost a formula for failure. So it's important to have clear planning and a method of bringing that into fruition. So you've got a plan and you set goals towards that plan. So that's key. And the idea you hear about business plans. A business plan doesn't need to be something complicated. It just needs to be something that you can see where you're going. You know, you've got an idea of the picture of what your business is going to do and where you're going to be going. So that's how I look at my plan, my business plan. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it needs to be something that you can actually use. And so poor planning, that's one of the things which I found which hampered me during my business. Let's look at the next point. Wrong location. Oh, that one. When I think about that one, I gasp. When I first set up my IT training company, I was fortunate enough to get the premises of a basement of a church. However, the location was wrong. It was in a basement. It was on a back street, so there was no footfall. It wasn't really easy for clients to get to. It wasn't easy for clients to see. So that was a no-no. That's a big mistake. Location has got to be correct. You've got to have the right location. And for me, that is one of the downfalls of my IT training business, where it failed. So let's look at the next point. No customer avatar. And what that means, I didn't know what my ideal customer looked like. And that is crucial because I didn't know exactly what my customer looked like. I was, as it were, scattergunning, trying to get customers everywhere and anywhere. But that doesn't work. It's important to know exactly what your customer looks like, what their habits are, what their hobbies are, things like that. The type of person they are, so you know exactly where to go to find them, because that has to be key. So when you're doing advertising, you know exactly the things you've got to be asking for. For example, when you use advertising like Facebook, you can actually narrow down the exact customer by exactly who they are, what they do. But if you don't know what your customer looks like, you don't know what your customer avatar is, then there's no way to go after the right customer. So that is a crucial point. A no customer avatar. Let's look at the next thing. That's something I learned from Jay Abraham. Testing. One of the biggest mistakes I made, I said, right, I'm going to sell IT suite. I went and bought lots of equipment and put it in the church basement and thought I'd get it going. But that was wrong. I didn't test. I didn't even check if I had a market for what I was doing. I didn't check if I had the right equipment. I didn't check if I had the right location. There's many things I didn't check. And had I tested the market, checked things out, I could have saved myself a lot of money and a lot of time, because maybe there may have been a better way to do the business. Maybe the IT training business wasn't quite the right market. Maybe I should have gone something slightly differently, something more different. But had I tested, then I would have been able to have not made that massive mistake. So testing is key. And that's something I learned from one of my mentors, Jay Abraham. He talks about testing. And if you don't test, your business could be in big trouble. And that leads on to not understanding the market. If you don't have it, because I didn't have a clear understanding of my market, I was setting up myself for failure from day one. So it's important to really know your market, because when you know who your ideal customer is, what they're prepared to pay, who is the competition, and what you're offering that's better than the competition, then you place yourself in a strong position. But not knowing the market, it's like the business is doomed for failure. So those are some of the mistakes which I made and some of the points, things which I learned from going through those mistakes. So, other lessons learned. Cash flow is key. So what lessons did I learn about cash flow? Well, when I started my website design business, my cash flow was a battlefield. Well, I didn't have a cash flow forecast. I didn't know what a cash flow forecast was. So I had customers coming in. It was a fight to get customers. When I did get a customer, I worked on their website. I completed it. I had money. Then I was searching for new customers when that customer went. And during that time, I had no money coming in. But I still had outgoing bills. And so I pulled my hair out trying to get customers so that I could have money to pay the bills. What a challenge. What I didn't realize at the time, the importance of having a cash flow forecast. And how a cash flow forecast would allow me to see when I needed to pay money during the month. And I could set myself alarms so that I knew that by certain dates I needed to have money to pay certain bills. But I didn't have that in place. And that was one of the key problems that caused me to have problems in the business. So, whatever you do, make sure you have a cash flow forecast and you know exactly when you're paying bills and when you need to have money in the business. You work that out in advance. That is what I didn't do. And that you could work out simply by putting together a nice little business plan. So cash flow is key. The next thing, what customer problems are being solved? Now, it's all and well me having a website design business, but if I'm not really solving customers' problems, then it's a waste of time. Because a customer has specific problems they want to solve. And the more clearly you can work out exactly the problems that your customer is facing, and you provide a solution to that problem, then you're going to get paid. Then you're going to make money. So you've got to know what customer problems that you're solving. The next thing, will people pay to have their problems solved? And so that's key. So you've got to know what things people will be prepared to pay to have solved. Once you can solve those problems, you've got money coming in. And also, people may not know they have a problem. And so you have to educate a person that a problem they may not be aware of, but you show them that at a certain point in time, they will have a problem and it could be quite catastrophic. Then they'll probably be prepared to pay you to solve that problem. So it's important to know about your customer, know their history, and know what challenges they are likely to face, and have a solution to those challenges, so that you become their savior, and you save them money, and they pay you money. The next thing is, do you have a system? And that is something which I didn't have in place, because it was a one-man business, and if a person's the major cog in a business, they're also the major clog, and that's what I was. I was doing everything. And at one stage, I was so stressed that I ran into ill health. And so the business literally seized up. So an important lesson I learned is that you've got to have a system in place so that when you're not there, the business will continue to flow. So those are key points. Cash flow is key. You've got to solve customers' problems. You've got to know what their problem is. And importantly, you've got to have a system in place. So let's look at more on cash flow. So with cash flows, it's important to have plan in advance, because one of the things I found is that because I didn't plan anything in advance, everything kind of came at me all at the same time. And that was not the way to run a business or to get things going. So what I realized is that you've got to plan things, just like how you'd plan a battle. I think it was Leo Tao who said, a battle is won before you actually go out on the battlefield by having a worked out strategy. And so that's what I realized. It's important to have a clear strategy. And that's a bit like having a cash flow spreadsheet where you can put down the dates when certain payments were to be made. For example, if you knew that the payment for the telephone bill was to be made on the 1st of the month, and every month it was on that day, you could put that in on your spreadsheet. If you knew that the rent was going to be made, say like on the 15th of the month, you put that in on every 15th of every month. And likewise, with the money coming in, if you knew that there's going to be some money coming in from a particular customer, they may have a direct debit set up, then you can put that money comes in on that particular date. So that way, you know when money is going out and you know when money is coming in, so you can plan more effectively. And so you're able to systemize your business and not to be running your business at chance and not hoping that things will work out, but you've planned things in advance. And the last thing is your income and your expenditure. It's important to be very clear that you have enough income to cover all the expenditures, and that way you know you'll make a profit. So that's some key tips on getting your cash flow system in place. So in my earlier business venture, I lost thousands and thousands of pounds because I made these silly mistakes. But hopefully, when you set up your business, you will learn from the mistakes I made and you will save yourself thousands and thousands of pounds. So go ahead, work on these strategies and have fun. Most of all, have fun and make money while you're doing it. Bye for now.